a couple of things to discuss. So we're not actually going to design, but when you delete a component that you've used in other screens, when you delete it, it's just going to detach on the screens that you've used. So that's kind of useful because it's not going to mess up your screens. But if you want to keep things consistent, you'll have to go there and kind of either remove those things or replace them with what you need to ensure that you can then later on change things. So be careful when deleting components. Just know that there's going to be some legacy stuff on other screens where you've used that component. If you delete a variant, same things happen. It's going to detach in places where it was used, and you're not going to be able to easily replace it. You're going to have to find like all of the areas you've used it. A good tip when you're doing that, maybe kind of have or add a vivid color or something onto those either variants or components so you can easily locate them and do the necessary changes. Again, I'm gonna use our our design system to showcase the progress that we've made with some of these design system tips that I have when it comes to using Figma. Another thing that we haven't covered is actually publishing your systems as a library. So to do that, I want to first cover this other thing. So consider library as something that others can kind of attach to their files and use, be just yourself or anyone else in the design team. And if you want things to just stay in the file that you were working on, use private styling components. So it means that you're just adding a dot or an underline to the beginning of the name. And I know I've touched upon that, but basically in here you can see that we have all of these things. Maybe we just want this component to be used and not the input field one. So go in here and just add a little underline to the name or dot, whatever works for you. Just kind of keep it consistent. And that means that this, when you publish this design system as a library, it's not going to get published and used by anyone else. So all of the users of this design system in other places in other files will have access to this component, but not all of these ones, because they're going to be nested in this one, and you want to ensure that labels and description text are always spaced accordingly, so you don't want to give them the ability to kind of place labels as they want above input fields in other areas. So that's one thing to consider, and it's a simple tip that you can implement to ensure that things get used the way that you want to. Another example that I often have is something like a segmented control. If you know what that is, it's something like this, where you have one option that's going to be selected and one option that's not going to be selected, and you just want to use those in your design. So something like this. Again, not perfect, but okay. So this is the selected option and this is the unselected option. I might have these two as components that I've used to create the bigger segmented control component, but I don't ever want to see these two used as their own entities anywhere outside of this main component that I have. So I kind of disabled those. So just a tip. And finally, when it comes to publishing libraries and using libraries, go to your assets panel. Here on the top next to layers, you have assets. Go to this little icon, publish this as a library. You can select all of the things. You can remove things that you don't want to see published. Hit publish, and depending on the size of your file, especially with some bigger projects, this might take a long time. So if you're doing that and you need to use Figma in the meantime and you don't want to kind of cancel the publishing, a tip I have is like opening Figma up in a browser and keeping the publishing modal open in the app, or vice versa, so that you can kind of still work in Figma while things are publishing. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, sorry, wrong one. selected. We covered that. When it comes to attaching a design system, same things apply. So you just enter your file, go into the assets, click in here. You're gonna have a list of all of the available libraries, and just select the one that you want to attach. So maybe something like this, and it's gonna be available in your file from that point forward. That's it. Hopefully this completes everything that you need to know about design systems and how to use them in Figma. If you ever have any other questions or anything else that you'd like to see added to this module, you know how to leave a review and let us know. So see you in the next module.